Morning. I will not delve into a lot of stuff that the organization does, but the fact that I'm here today to spend some, really sweet time with all you guys, I want to just share my life lessons. It's just been barely a decade, barely 9 years since the organization started or since my journey started. I was speaking to somebody yesterday and I said, I do not know what I've given to the organization or to the cause or to the I do not know, maybe this much, but what I've gained back in return, I cannot put a value to it. You guys are all young, right? Like really, really young. There'll be a time you will come to points in life when you got to make decisions, whether or not you like it, whether or not you want it. And not a lot of times will you be even sure of what you want to do. But you will feel something absolutely right in your gut about doing something, right? Parents might not agree with me, but there will be times when your parents might not agree with you, right? It's always in life, it's not really about what you do, it's not really about, what you say. Sometimes it's the how of things. Right? Sometimes it's not about what you say, but how you say it, right? Similarly, a lot of stuff, a lot of decisions that you're going to end up taking in your life, I'm going to share my journey about, and what it ended up teaching me. Maybe something makes sense, pick it up, something will not, you can leave that aside. But it'll help you look at the world from a lens, from a perspective of perhaps somebody on the street who has absolutely nothing that you and I probably take for granted in the very luxuries of our life, and will probably help us see ourselves from a point of privilege to a point where it'll help us know ourselves better. A lot of times in life, you will that, will give you this little high of, oh, you're doing something for the world, or you're giving back to the world, oh, it's great, At this age, there might be people who will come and pat your back and say, hey, that's great. Let that not get to your head. It's so easy. It's so easy. When I started my journey, I was in the advertising space. I was, trying to make ads in the communication space. That's something that I thought I loved. I absolutely loved. Post my 12th standard, I wanted to give my medical entrance exams. Also, something here that was my life lesson was rejection is awesome. Okay, it is. In a lot of spheres, in that moment in time, you'll be like, oh, this feels like death. But 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line, 20 perhaps years down the line, you will realize that rejection is awesome. Okay, and I want you to go back with the thought. Failure will teach you things that success never can. When you have $0 or rupees or whatever in your pocket, it'll teach you to be the best human being you can ever be. That 20,000 million or whatever dollars in your pocket will never teach you. Never. It will probably give you arrogance. Stuff when you are rejected, stuff when you fail, things when your pockets are empty, when you have nobody, most lonely phases of your life, stuff that feels that it's the end, or you're crying standing in the shower, like a Charlie Chaplin, letting the water wash away your tears. Those moments will feel like death. But they will be the ones in that whatever little lifespans that we live of 60, 80, 100 years, if at all, will end up teaching us stuff that moments of success, moments of richness, moments of being, being with people around us can never teach us. So when I started my journey, which now apparently, it's an international, we work with a lot of collaborators, etc. But when I started, I was alone. And I just happened to go to this area of shooting whatever we were shooting, and there was a young mom, had 6 daughters, pregnant with the 7th one, and a young mother, 36, 37-year-old, not very old as a mom, and one of her kids, and was going to a brothel. The kid was being sold, right? A lot of times I'm told, oh, I should not be speaking about this to a demographic of a 16, 15, 14-year-old. But shutting our eyes off to something that exists in the world for the lack of a better word, is inhuman. We're talking about reviving humanity, right? Reviving humanity starts when we know the place, the world where we exist in, with its beauty and with its defaults, with its fault settings. Yeah? So this young mother, she was pregnant, heavily pregnant, eight months pregnant with her 7th kid, with all the other 6 being daughters. And when I asked her, so one of these kids was being sold, yeah? One of the kids was being sent to a point where no kid ever should have the childhood be seen. And when I asked her, what is it that you're going to do with the 7th baby which is in your belly? She tells me, as a very matter-of-fact way, that, if it's a boy, I'm going to bring him up. If it's a girl, I'm going to strangle her the minute she's born. And I was 23, maybe 24 that time, almost about, 8, 9 years back. And as a young person, it was very simple to say, oh, I pity you, yeah, or feel the pity, the sympathy. It's the falsest, it's the most dishonest feeling that we can ever feel for anybody. Or the second option, or the second decision, or the second choice I had was to stand there, listen to her, no judgments. Why, how as a mother can you send your kid to be sold? She had 6 daughters. I was not in that position to make a decision or even think or even judge her. How can you do this? I don't know. If I was in that decision, in that capacity, in that moment, in zero money, I don't know what decision I would have taken. I don't know. And hence, I'm in no space to judge someone in that space who was probably trying to feed the rest of the 5 kids she had. I don't know. This realization also didn't come in that moment of time. It came in quite a few years later. And that's when the idea of, working with children, saving that one kid started, to a point today where we've worked with thousands, literally thousands of kids, but, have rescued 800 girls. A lot of times when, you start the idea, you build an organization or an institution around it, or even a cohort of 5 people, to do what you're doing, there will always be times when you will be judged, all the time. There will always be times when you will be, called names, yeah? And trust me, when you have people stand against you, yeah, that's a validation of something that you're doing right. Take it from me, okay? Of course, it depends on situations. But more or less, if you stand your ground and you know your conscience is right, yeah? A lot of times people tell me, could you tell me a little more about what is my soul and what is my conscience? You will figure out that, along your life cycles. But somewhere along, you will know that the decisions that you've taken are right. And then you choose to stand by them. Hell, high waters, you stand by them. And basis that commitment, more problems are going to flow. They will. Anything that happens very smoothly in life, anyway, will not teach you anything. But if you stand up for stuff that you feel, your gut feels is right, yeah, and you will have enough evidence to show it otherwise, or you will get proof for it. So when I started, my parents hated the idea. I had quit my job in a couple of months' time. The school was building up. Now, of course, it's gone beyond the school. But there will be times when the closest people, and I love them and they love me, that's a separate matter. But there will be times when disagreements will happen. How you choose to live through or be through those decisions or those moments or those times will make you or your character. Failure, rejection, like I said, it's awesome. There were times when I didn't have enough money in my pocket, had quit my job to, give more vent to my idea and everything. There were times when, while working on the field or whatever, I was thirsty. And I could either spend 1 rupee, yeah, which is 1/50th of a Sing dollar, or on a chewing gum, and get away my, quench my thirst, or I would have to spend 25 rupees on a, on a mineral water bottle, which I didn't have. And those times, The times of adversity rather, are going to teach you things that moments of abundance can never teach you. Talking about that, there will also be times in life, lesson number 2. There will be times when you will be asked to, or the resources or the situations will make you think from a mindset of scarcity. Yeah? And just when you cross that thin line of resistance, it's just a thin line. Trust me, it's all here. And take it from someone who, I'm not saying, oh, it's all here, it's psychological, oh, because it's, the resources were great. No, they were not. There will always be a resource crunch when you begin to start up whatever you're going to start up, right? The line is so thin. You take a step here, you're in that phase of, you're thinking from a space of scarcity. You take a step here from that thin line of resistance, and only you can. Don't forget, nobody can push you through it. Here is a mindset of abundance that you will operate from. A lot of times when we are working with causes, when we are working with giving or things like that, everybody wants you to believe or wants you to start operating from a point of, oh, there's abuse. Oh, there is, the kid has gone through so much. Oh, the people have gone through so much. Oh, we know better. We can teach them better. We can tell them better. We don't know anything. They know the solutions. Did you see any kid who felt that something was out of, they might not have the resources that you and I can have, but did you feel that they were operating from a system of, oh my God, life is bad. 2 friends have given up on me. Oh my God, the math results really are bad. Or were they like, we can be awesome as well. We have this much, but we're operating from a mindset of abundance. Never forget that, kids. Ever. I'll share a little story. A lot of times you will be asked, you will be told, that, oh, there is so much sadness and suffering in the world. Where do you start? Yeah, you will be told about no matter what you do will never be enough. There will always be, a child who's raped. There will always be an earthquake somewhere. There will always, of course, there will be suffering everywhere. If there's happiness, there will always be sadness. Do you get attached to it? And then there were times, I can probably 9 years hence, stand here and give you my life lessons only. I can't speak for anybody else. But there will be times, when you will feel that I used to write notes in my diary every night and sleep off because I didn't know any better how to save that kid. And as a 25-year-old, I didn't know any better. And in the beginning of a couple of years, and that journey is just yours alone. Nobody else can take your journey, and your journey is unique. You don't have to be, you don't have to dehumanize yourself. You don't have to berate yourself. You don't have to get into self-hate. Stuff that you can do, only you can do. You might realize it, or you might realize the potential, the power, the skill that you have 10 years hence, 2 years hence, I don't know. But what you can do, nobody else can do. You might lack 20 things. That's okay. You think I know everything as the head of my organization? I don't. I fail every day. But failure is awesome. It'll teach you stuff that success cannot, I repeat. There's a story that I always share wherever I go because it's so close to my heart. As a little kid in 4th grade, I remember I was standing at the back of my school assembly, and my teachers, the sisters, the nuns in the convent were speaking about something. And they spoke about this little boy who's on the seashore. And there are a lot of starfish there's a high tide that's happened last night, and a lot of starfish are now languishing on the seashore. And then there is also this old 60, 65-year-old gentleman who's there, right? So 60, 65, by the time you age, you will also become cynical. It'll happen, okay? This is a beautiful age right now to feel empathy and to do something about it creatively, to have that spirit of entrepreneurship, to have that spirit of innovation, to believe in yourself when nobody will. And nobody has to, nobody owes you anything. Please stop expecting that the world owes us anything. We, if at all, are sitting here to have air conditioners and to have this conversation going on, to have a great education that your parents are giving you, your schools are giving you. It's great. We of course hear about stuff, we see stuff on the internet all the time that the other people are not as privileged. But then what do you do with that privilege? So this little kid, 5-year-old, is picking up every privileged. Yeah, he can see the suffering, he can do something about it. He's not cynical, he's just 5. He's too young to be corrupted. Too young to be corrupted. Yeah. Picking fish, putting it back to the water, picking every fish with all the love, putting it back. Of them on the shore. And this old man, gentleman, he looks at this boy in all disgust and, like cynicism, and he's like, what do you think, young man, you're going to do with, you will take like another 10 hours to put, I don't know, like 30, 40 starfish back into the waters? What do you think you're going to achieve with it? Because there's still 20,000 of them lying on the shore. And this little boy looks up to him with all this innocence and laughs, giggles, chuckles. Like, you are sick. He doesn't say it, but in all his 5-year innocence, he thinks and he says, it's not my job to pick up all 20,000 and put them back into the water. Maybe 20,000 people, if we all worked together, maybe if they understood that they were all coming and going, right? But if I can put each of it back, and each of it as in whatever I can manage today, and then tomorrow will be another day. Lesson number 3, tomorrow is always another day. Stop crying about the past. There's a reason it's the past. Learn from it, move on. There's nothing bad if you're as bad as it can be if you're alive. If God has given you, God, universe, whatever that you believe in or not, has given another chance, there's something that's making things work, right? If it's giving us another chance to breathe and live another day, it can be turned into an awesome, awesome thing. It's your self-belief in yourself. This little boy goes back and says, for every starfish that I've picked up, it's not my job to do, save, rescue, undo the suffering of the 10,000s. But if I can pick the 10, for those 10 starfish, the entire world has changed. Empathy, reviving humanity is not something that happens on the pivot table on an Excel sheet. You can make a fancy report out of that, definitely. And I'm sure you guys understand computers and internet more than I ever can. But humanity starts with you. It ends with you. You can have a caravan of people join you along your way. One day when they get tired, they will stay back, and that's okay. Do you have the guts to keep continuing with what the ideas you started, or are your ideas convenience-based? I get up at, I got up at 10 today, I don't feel like doing stuff. Okay. What does that say about your commitment for the things that you've committed your time or that moment to? Commitment is something, I don't know the definition or the terminology, but commitment is something when the mood in which you've made the promise, the mood has gone, but you still choose to do it. That is commitment. That moment when I met that young mother or the little girl who came to serve me chai, tea, and she could barely walk because she had been abused, sexually abused, I could have said, oh, I feel something, and then 5 years or 5 months or 5 days down the line, gotten busy with other stuff. I'm not saying what's right or wrong. We are in no position to judge right and wrongs. It's all relative all the time. But if after 9 years, and if after 9 years is nothing really, but if after 45 years or whatever time that, God chooses to give, if I can still continue with the idea, it's not my job to, as a non-profit person or as somebody who's leading a cause, you will be expected to do stuff. There were times when newspapers quoted me as Mother Teresa, and I was like, what? No. There are times when I just want to sit back, with my mom, with my dad, want to watch TV. Who says what's right or wrong? There were times as a young person, most of the times, when I meet these little girls, the first thing I end up telling them is, you're beautiful. Do you know what power and what impact that has for someone. We talk about reviving humanity, about ending suffering and big things like that, right? It starts with empathy. Who you think is suffering in your inner circle? Can you talk kind? Reviving humanity starts there. It's not always about starting a non-profit organization. It never is. You can start a for-profit and revive humanity. You choose your rights and you choose your wrongs. Point is, after the mood has gotten off, do you still choose to stand by it and do what you choose to do? Of course, there will be learnings along the way. Of course, there will be massive failures along the way, and that's okay. Failure is awesome. Rejection is always awesome. Don't decide to get married earlier. Yeah, live your life, travel, read a lot. As much as you can read a lot. As much as you can be kind in your words. You don't have to start doing big stuff, building big things. You will, probably when it's time. But start talking kind. Empathy begins right here. Empathy begins when you tell yourself in the moment that it begins right now. It's not about, oh, one day I'm going to think about what empathy should mean. No. As a young person, your first responsibility is to yourself. A lot of times people will also tell you, oh, you got to do stuff, change the world, create enough dents in the world. Yeah, okay. But it starts with you. After 9 years, I've learned that. I always thought it was outside of me, happiness was out. I was trying to a lot of people said, oh, because, we rescue kids or we work with them in very severe conditions, I would sleep better. No, I didn't sleep any better. I cried myself to sleep for the first 5 years of my life of working in this space. It starts with you. If you think you have a routine, you want to go to your yoga gym class for half an hour every day, 1 hour every day, that's your time. You're entitled to it. Let nobody tell you or berate you. Don't indulge in self-hate ever. Yes, you've made mistakes. Apologize. Be humble enough to apologize. I hear it's a difficult thing nowadays with young people to apologize. Apologizing makes us awesome. There's a very thin line also between self-respect and ego. Don't mistake one for the other. There's a very thin line. You will know. Maybe some of you have instances where you feel, oh, it's about my self-respect. Maybe it's just ego. Or vice versa. You as young people, there's this prayer in Hindi, we always say in our schools, in schools back in India, and maybe some of you know it, or maybe some of your parents would know it. दूसरों हमको मन में इतनी शक्ति देना कि दूसरों की जय से पहले खुद की जय करें. Before we praise somebody outside of us, can we pray, can we worship our inner truths? The day we decide to do that, a lot of shallowness, a lot of hollowness, you will start seeing the difference between the two. You will see it. You will choose not to talk about it. That's okay. That's actually smart. But you will see it. You choose your path. You choose the things that you gotta believe in. It's okay. Parents will come around one day if they see your commitment, if they see your passion. It's not about having $10,000 in your account if your for-profits or whatever go successful. It's okay. Even if you fail, but you end up as better people, you'll be fine. You'll do fine in life. You create your balance. Nobody else will choose it for you. There will be times when I was told that I should only be doing this work. And that's about it. Maybe for 4 years, 5 years, I devoted myself entirely, heart, blood, soul, sweat, everything. But here, I decide to create a little balance in my life. So I started consulting for 2 days, 3 days, started working out for other organizations, mentoring more people, because I also needed my bread and butter. And if I decide that after 9 years, it's again my choice. The world, life lesson number 4 or 5, the world, like I said, does not owe you. Beep. It does not. You owe the world everything. Thank you.